Welcome to Closings and Cocktails with Kasandra Myers, your favorite real estate agent. This is a podcast all about my real-life real estate clients. No boring talk about interest rates or loan types. We will sit down, have a celebratory cocktail, while they share their stories of who they are and their real estate adventures. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. This is Closings and Cocktails with Kasandra Myers, your favorite real estate agent. This is the podcast where we get to hear from my real life real estate clients, and we get to hear their stories. What successes and triumphs have they overcame? What made them who they are today? And then maybe chat a little bit about how we met. So today, for my first guest ever.
Wow, that's a lot.
I know, right? I'm bringing in Lincoln, Nebraska celebrity.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Pretty much as famous as you can get in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Not really. I mean, there's Coach Frost. He's much more. Larry the Cable Guy, he's a little bit higher up on the rung than I am.
Third.
Wow, okay. That's a compliment. Thank you.
So I have James here today. JP for some. Just kind of, I guess, depends on how you're referring to yourself, right?
Yeah.
And he is our local radio show star. Right?
Yeah. Proper radio personality type. Host a morning show. Star, okay.
Star's pretty
I am
good.
the star of a morning show on a radio station.
I mean, you guys have like Grammys and stuff you give out to each other.
Do we? I mean, that'd be great. We should have awards. I know we've got couple trophies. One is a hot dog eating competition trophy that I have at 18 hot dogs in the Celebrity Challenge, all in one fell swoop. We have the Fantasy Football Chalice.
All right.
Terrible looking, like holy grail piece of crap that we pass around for fantasy football. But that and that, yeah.
But let's circle back around real quick
to
this hot dog eating trophy.
Yes.
18 hot dogs.
18 and we had to do it it was a 15-minute challenge. It was like related to the Nathan's hot dog eating competition.
Yeah.
And the Piedmont shops were doing this.
Okay.
Because they actually you could qualify for the actual Nathan's hot dog eating challenge that's on the 4th of July.
That's actually pretty cool.
And they had the actual local people doing it, and then the celebrity one. Mm-hmm. And it was me and like Aaron Sorensen from Hale Varsity, Tom from one of the other radio stations, and then like Steve Sipple from the Journal Star. We all were eating hot dogs. And
oh my God.
At the time, my co-host was Lauren, and she's like, I go, just let me know when I have a big enough lead, and I'll stop. Because I'm a food-eating freak. Like, I drank an entire bottle of ketchup on the air one time.
Oh, that's so disgusting.
The firefighters made me do a gallon of milk and dozen donuts challenge, which didn't go very well at the end. I got all the donuts down and almost the entire gallon before I sprayed over the back of the studio, trying to hit the trash can. I'm the reason why you don't get to do food competitions on the radio anymore. It can only be in like off mic stuff or like video stuff instead of real.
So unrelated to you, but this food eating thing triggered my brain.
Okay.
When my husband and I were getting married, he had his bachelor party.
Right.
Him and all of his buddies were lucky enough they went to San Diego. And I don't know how much of this story I can share, but somebody made a bet that one of the other people attending couldn't finish. You had to do all items, and you could pick the increments in what you were doing it. So it was eat donuts, drink beers, pleasure yourself, and run miles.
Gotcha.
And it was like 6, 12, 18, and 24.
Wow, okay. That's impressive. So,
I think it was he chose 24 donuts.
Right, because those are just fluffy things. You can get those.
Was
down.
it run 12 miles?
Oh, God.
Pleasure himself 6 times and drink 18 beers. The donuts and the beers might be flip-flop.
And this was all in one weekend or
this was in one day.
One day, okay.
In one day.
Did he run the 12 miles first?
So when they were talking about it, he had already ran like 5 miles.
Okay.
And so he was like, well, if I can count the miles that I had, then I'll do that. And I think he won Like, I think he made it. But they said towards the end that they were like, it was by the end of the night, they're at a bar, and they're just, he said he had just turned like pale white. Like, he couldn't eat any more donuts.
That was the end.
So it's like a little memory we like to bring up.
Yeah, no.
Literally every time we see him.
I get it. That's understandable.
That's like why I'm sad that I don't get to go to bachelor parties. Like,
they can be kind of fun.
Yeah, they're way more fun than a bachelorette party.
They're really weird. I mean, especially if you go to like Shakers or something like that, which I don't even know if they're in business anymore or not.
They might be closed now. I know they had some stuff going on, an agreement. I think they had to close by 2021.
I don't know if I can say this on here or not, but I'll do it anyway. I can make it clean. My brother, his first marriage in the bachelor party was out at Shakers, and they'll have like circuit girls come in like in the weekends.
Oh yeah.
So they had a whole group of girls from like Canada that were there.
Yeah.
And whatever, the entertainment's going on, and then all of a sudden this girl comes out in just her underwear and puts a chair in the middle of the stage. And the Manominat song from the Muppets, or like from Manominat Doop Doop.
Yeah.
So she popped her legs in the air and had little finger puppets.
Oh.
And that was her thing with that song. And we're just like, what the hell is going on? It was the weirdest thing. It had to be a Canadian thing.
I'm more curious. I'm like, how do you learn you have that skill?
Right. I mean, she was flexible enough to keep her legs up in the air the entire song, but it was just really weird. And I'm like, it must be a Canadian thing. I don't know.
But did you give her money?
I didn't know. I just stood in the back of the room. I was like, my mouth was wide open. Flies could have flown in. I was just like, what is happening right now?
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, no, there you go.
Yeah, you know, it's little things like that keep life exciting.
Right, exactly.
Oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit about your story.
Okay.
How did you get here?
I grew up on a Christmas tree farm in Martel, which is between Lincoln and Crete.
Yeah.
Christmas tree farm with my parents and my brother. He's 4 years younger than I am. And then ended up our bus pickup was to either Norris or Crete by like a block.
Yeah.
And so ended up going to Crete, K through 12, and did all kinds of sports, did theater, did music, didn't really fit into a clique. Mm-hmm. Like had like 10 friends maybe. And then a bunch of my friends decided to go to Doane, which was in Crete, and like right across the street. So my senior year of high school was basically my freshman year of college. They're all pledging the same frat that I ended up in, and just going over there all the time when I wasn't doing some sort of a sport or a theater thing or a band thing or a choir thing. So went to Doane for broadcasting and wanted to play football, and played football until I hurt my knee. And it was just because I didn't go in the weight room like the rest of the guys did. My buddy Ashlyn and I were both 6'2", 6'3", just push everybody around. It's like, we don't have to go lift weights. Yeah. We're fine. And you go to
we
college,
don't need to strengthen our joints.
Right. And there's a guy named Larty Jenkins, and this guy is 6'4", 370 pounds, and just a very big man. And trying to push him around, didn't happen. I hurt my knee like near the end of the season. And so I stayed with broadcasting, and then I followed a girl into the theater department and changed my major to theater, and was there for a while. And then I couldn't afford to go to Doane anymore. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go try UNL, and got there and I was trying to do the prereqs. I was trying to get in the broadcasting department there to get back into broadcasting. And the way it was set up is if you're an underclassman, you do not see the journalism school at all. Yeah. And so I'm like in a Spanish class, I'm in a intro to jazz class, I'm in all these other things. I'm like, this is really not for me. Mm-hmm. And so I found this guy named Jerry Fritz, and he had worked 30, 40 years in radio, and he was running the broadcasting department at SCC in Beatrice. And so I went down there, and within a week, you were learning how to do your own show. 2 weeks in, cool. You're doing your own show. By the second year, when I'm near graduating, I had done everything in radio except sales. Like I'd run the station, I'd train people how to do it, cut commercials, run my own show, created music logs, did the whole thing. And so I did that and got into broadcasting a little bit here in Lincoln, helped out on a news talk station and a sports station, and then bounced to another group and was doing sports for Husker Sports Network. And then they created their own studio and cut that out. And so my boss at the time, who's now my boss again, was like, well, do you know anything about country music? I said, I know who Garth Brooks is. And so he's like, all right, well, I'm going to put you on a nights and you can figure this out on your own. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I did nights, and then the midday girl left to go train horses in Kentucky or something like that. And so he's going to move me to afternoons. I did afternoons, and I did the drive at 5 on Froggy for 8 years or so. And then I got an opportunity to go over to Kick 76.9 and be the program director and eventually I was going to be just program director in afternoons, just like I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was James Pond on the air on Froggy, and they sent me an actual cease and desist letter that I have framed of using that name because they own the name. And so that's how JP became what it is.
Okay. All right.
And so I became JP in the afternoons, and then new management, new ideas. They moved me to mornings. I had JP and Allie. JP and Morgan was the show. And then she was a free spirit music nut, but wanted to promote artists like she did in the past. And so she went flying off, and I found Lauren Silverman, who had been doing Channel 8 anchoring until her second or third child was born. And then she's like, I'm going to stay at home.
Yeah.
And then we said, okay, well, hey, we got an idea for you to come and do mornings with us. And then you can just leave after the show's over.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. Oh, by the way, I'm pregnant with my 4th child. It's like, okay. So we had her for about 5 months, and then she went on maternity leave and came back, and we did the show together for a while, and then brought in Husker Nick, who's been with me now for 4 years. And then Lauren left. She got a great job.
Yeah, don't forget Husker Nick.
No, don't forget him. The most recognizable thing about our dang show is that stupid promo with it. Don't forget about me. Him screaming in the background was just a crazy idea in the production studio, and it just kind of stuck. Yeah, now it's myself and Coriel who did nights for us for a long time, Nebraska Nights, and now she's JP Coriel and Husker Nick in the morning. So,
wow, that's cool.
Wild ride.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's really intriguing to me that you were turned off on journalism at UNL.
Yeah.
Because my original major was journalism at UNL.
No way.
Yep.
That's funny.
My freshman year, I couldn't get into any journalism class except for, oh my gosh, I don't know what the name of it was, but it was their online newspaper class.
Okay.
Which it was the first year they had started this class, because this was a long time ago. The internet wasn't really that big of
wasn't
a
a
thing
thing
yet.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
But they were beating it into our heads of like, you have to learn how to do this online newspaper, this online newspaper, blah, 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 blah. And since they didn't know how to do the class, they were just filling it with whoever. Yeah. So I was a freshman who had my first semester, who had never taken any sort of college level class.
Right.
Now in this class with all seniors.
Oh, dang.
And now, I think it was like 2 years after that, they actually made it your very last class that you have to take to graduate.
Which makes sense. As a senior, that's something to learn on the way out.
And like the whole thing was like, okay, you were assigned days. And so, okay, Kasandra, every Monday you have to find a story. You have to record it on video. You need sound bites, and you have to write copy, and you have to upload it all online in that day.
In one day.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even know.
No, that's the way it goes, though. I mean, it's look at the guys and girls on 10-11. That's their daily thing. It's like, okay, you got 3 stories to go get. I need you to get all this done before the 6 o'clock news.
Which makes sense,
right? I mean, but as you're going out as a senior,
the challenge was I didn't even have access to the publication rentals.
Oh wow!
So I couldn't go rent a camera.
How are you going to do this class?
It was very difficult.
Yeah.
I did pass. I think they just felt bad for me.
Okay, that's it. I was wondering, like, you have none of the tools. How are you going to do this class?
Oh, it was very difficult. So, yeah, after that semester, I was like, I don't think journalism is for me.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So then I switched it up and I went to art.
All right.
And ultimately I dropped out anyways. Now I sell houses.
And now you sell houses and create art for people.
Yeah, pretty much. So through your experience, like, who's had the biggest impact on you?
Well, and he's retiring from the food bank. Scott Young and John Mabry are 2 of the biggest influencers for me in journalism, because Well, and Jerry Fritz, the teacher at the Southeast Community College, because he really showed me how to do things.
Yeah.
And was just so hands-on. And I push that out whenever I teach anybody. Like I taught Coriel, I taught Liz, I taught D. Wayne, who's on Care for X now. I've taught all these kids when they were interns, and now because of the way the hands-on aspect of it, they can go into any studio anywhere in the world and figure it out.
And they got it.
Exactly. And they can go in there and like, I need to do a show, I need to do it right now, and I need whatever equipment you've got, and they'll figure it out and do it. And he was a big influence in that aspect. Scott Young was one of my first bosses ever in radio. Really tall, like 6'9", just stands out. Deep voice, was on KFOR for so long with Scott and Kathy, the morning crew. And then he retired from radio and got into working with the Food Bank of Lincoln. And it's like he taught me how to do radio. And then through the food bank, he taught me how to give back.
Yeah.
And so meeting him and talking with him, and then John Mabry, at one point in time, I was between radio gigs, and I knew enough about sports to be dangerous, and I got hired on the Journal-Star to be at the sports desk in the evenings, and they collect all the data and whatever else, and create stories and help line it up. And so he taught me all that. And then John goes and retires from journalism and gets in with the Food Bank of Lincoln. So the two of them are there, and every time I get a chance to, I tell them thank you.
Yeah.
Because they did great things for me to make me who I am, help me be who I am.
Well, and I can only imagine the skill and knowledge that they have from working in journalism and broadcasting has just dramatically helped the food bank.
Oh, absolutely, because they know what the people want and what the people need.
Yeah.
And they go after that. And the fact that they've both been living their entire lives, it's the same thing with me. It's like, wow, you know so much about Lincoln and Nebraska. It's like, no, I just lived here long enough that I have all, I've seen it all. Yeah. And so they have that aspect of it too. But yeah, the fundraising side of it is huge, and just knowing what the people want, what the people need, and going after that.
I am very passionate about the food bank. I volunteer at the markets at Clinton Elementary School.
Great.
Well,
that's awesome.
Not now with COVID.
Well, yeah, COVID. It'll come back.
Yeah. And I just love it. Like, I don't know if you ever got to go to one of the markets.
I haven't.
Where you actually like walk the kids through, and so as a volunteer, you go and you set up all the tables with all the foods, and it has signs on there of like, okay, you can have one of these, two of these.
Oh,
whatnot.
yes. Yeah.
They're testing out in lieu of the backpack program.
Right.
But so if you're lucky enough, you get to be one of the volunteers that actually greets the kids and helps hold their bag and helps them shop. And it is
That's awesome.
Legit the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
These little kids, they will come in and they will be in, they're kindergarten through 5th grade.
Right.
And they're coming through once a month to collect food for their family.
Yeah.
And
they're grocery shopping for their family. Yeah.
But when they go through, they're digging through the cans of vegetables, and they're like, oh, my little brother loves peas. I want to get him peas.
Aww.
And then they'll go to the end, and there's, they try to get, a table of sweets for him to be able to take something. And you'll have, these little kids who's like, my mom's birthday's this month. I want to find her a birthday cake or a cupcake. And it's just like, oh my God.
Like, right. Look at this kid thinking of somebody other than themselves. I could go for the candy bar for me, but my brother likes peas. I'm going to get that.
Yeah. And then you have these tiny little, 40-pound kindergartners with two giant
bags
grocery bags. And they're walking home.
Oh, God.
They're walking home up, 6-7 blocks away, and it will be dead of winter, and they're just
slugging it to go home.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you guys are the cutest things ever. I absolutely love you. Super rewarding. So I've got to hear the people from the food bank talk a couple times.
Good.
And they're very uplifting. So I can
they're really good.
Only imagine what it was like to be able to
actually work with them at the beginning.
Actually work with them and
I'm still amazed by both of them. John's still doing his thing. Scott's retiring this year, but yeah, they do some great things. And that's another thing with radios. I've had a chance to work with a bunch of different groups. Like, I'm on the board for the Tyson Treasure Chest Foundation, which was created because of Tyson.
I photographed their wedding.
You photographed their wedding. Tyson Chambers, who passed away with pediatric brain cancer. I met him before that happened. I met him, and we ran a campaign to try to get Jason Aldean to say hi to him.
Yes. And
had that happen, which was a really cool thing. And unfortunately, he passed away. But we keep his memory alive by filling treasure chests full of toys. And we do that at Children's Hospital in Omaha. And helping out with the Heart Association, helping out with Alzheimer's. You really get a chance to, when you're in radio, everybody needs a little bit of help. And so I know, and I've been told by my bosses, like, don't push yourself to the point where you can't do yourself and be yourself. And I had to learn that because I was just giving myself all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's important to give, and it's good to help out. And I've seen the backpack program, not the food bank thing at Lincoln Northeast High School, where my kids both. I've gone to school, and one's wrapping up there. And to just know that these kids at least have some good food every once in a while for them is huge. Yeah. And my son will say, it's so and so, they're not going to probably get to eat because they don't have anything. And so this is huge for him. And so he'll go through and get a bag for his friend. Yeah. And it's like, psh, I did my job. Yeah. My kid's that kind of a person. Awesome. So, yeah.
How do you think getting to experience these different charities and events has changed you personally?
Oh, well, I mean, I've always been one to help. I was bullied as a kid because I was little and fat back in the day.
Little and fat?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very unique combination.
Yeah, it was a poor little guy that used to get knocked around and one time eventually showed up to a bully, and that was kind of my turning point. So anytime anything or anyone is a bully, I'm like, no, that's not cool. And so it's really helped me pass that on to other people and do that not only with our show, but just with because for me, it's not, it used to be like, hey, you're the radio announcer and you talk like this and you're higher and better than everybody else. Yeah. We're just regular people.
Or superstars.
Who get called superstars. And it's just, I want what's on the radio to be as real as possible. Yeah. And so you're getting the real us. We may not curse as much as we do in regular life, but
because you have to not
keep it clean for the FCC, and so that's the way it goes. But no, it really helped change me into the person I am, because I really didn't know anything about philanthropy and whatnot when I was in high school. I didn't think anything of it except helping out here and there. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, now I've got both kids. One's in college, one's got his own car and a job, and it's pretty self-sufficient. It's like, okay, now I can give myself a little bit more. But then COVID hit, and it just kind of slowed everything down. And you're trying to change your mindset in the way you give and do it in different ways, and helping out the local eateries and promoting where you can go get food still and pick up curbside and whatnot, and trying to help as many people as we can.
I love it. I love it so much. So when I started the team, Lincoln's Best Real Estate Team, the name is truly just a ploy on SEO searches. Right. But to carry on with that, it was that we have very high standards for our agents. And one of those is you have to volunteer and you have to give back to your community in some sort of way. Because to me, that's so important, especially if your industry is real estate. Right. You are just building your community is so crucial and so important.
Oh, for sure.
And you can't just look at the luxury listings that you're getting. It's like, no, if you're gonna work in real estate and you care about the community, then you need to be loyal enough to give back your time, right, and actually help that community become a better place. So that's cool.
Well, and that's the thing for me. Like when you were helping me sell our house, it was something that's still in my mind. Is like, is the person that's going to be moving to this house going to add to this neighborhood? Yeah. Are they going to be here K through 12? Yeah. Is the Northeast side better because these people are here? And I actually thought about that. Yeah. I know my ex didn't give a crap, but I thought about it. I'm like, well, I want somebody that's going to move into this. This is going to be a house. They're not even maybe their forever house, but at least their starter house to get them going like we got going.
Yeah. And you'd be amazed how many sellers actually want to know that stuff. Yeah. And obviously it's heavily regulated on the information that we can share with them about the buyer. Right. Due to protected classes and whatnot.
And that's okay.
But there's been times where you can clearly tell if it's an investor buying a property or if it's an individual. And I've had people turn down thousands over asking because that house is sentimental to them. They raised their families there. They've lived there forever. It's their first home, and they, put blood, sweat, and tears into it. Right. And so, to them, envisioning the next people in the house is just as important as them envisioning them in their next house. Right. So they'll take, a lot of they'll compromise a lot if they feel good.
Yeah.
If that's their personality.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I because I drive by there just about every day, I see, oh, they fixed the chimney. Oh, there's a roof now on the deck. I'm like, oh, look at that. Look what they did.
Really?
I'm like, I like that. I'm like, okay, look at you guys.
I wonder if they fixed the deck.
I
hope
think
so.
Well, I fixed the wood part of it. That's
Oh, yeah,
done.
that's
That
right.
was
That's
fixed.
right.
But to put a roof on, I'm like, that's awesome. Look at you guys.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, and I bet that's a really nice place to sit and watch the sunset too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite things to ask people, because normally when I meet people, they don't tell me until years later once they're finally comfortable with me. Now you met me in more of a business aspect,
Right.
so that changes things a little bit. But I'm always curious. Tell them the story of how we met, and kind of what your first impressions were.
Well, who was it that recommended me to you? Like drawing a blank right now.
Mark Harms.
Mark Harms. Thank you. Okay. Go to the Harmses. And I was kind of stuck in a position where going through divorce, and my ex just picked up and moved, because at the time I didn't have a place to stay. I moved out so that she could have the space, the kids could be there. But when the kids were there, I was there. And so I stayed at a buddy's house, and I'm like, you know what? Financially wise, she wasn't putting her paying for her half of the mortgage and whatnot. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to move back in. But I'm only there when she's not there. And she has the back bedroom. I'm in the living room or the downstairs, whatever. And then she all of a sudden just moves out, takes half of the stuff, and leaves the place a shambles. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to move in and fix this.
Yeah.
And so Harms is one of the people that helped out. My buddy Tim did. So many people in my life came and helped clean the place up and then get it at least recognizable to a place where somebody might want to live.
Yeah.
And then Mark's like, okay, well, Cassandra's the best. Like, literally, she'll come over and mow your yard and do the landscaping if she has to. But not even has to, she will, to make sure that this house looks as good as it does.
Yeah.
And so we had a chance to meet. And the stipulation before was my ex wanted to use the person that sold us the house at the beginning. Great person. Just, when we met with him, I didn't get a vibe that he cared too much about it, because he was already in a different place, selling a different style of things and whatnot. And everybody moves on. It's fine. But you and I just kind of naturally clicked, because we're both just loud people. And Mark's like, you're going to love Cassandra. She's great. You'll fit it right in. You become like best friends. Would be surprised to see you guys sitting outside drinking or whatever, which we sometime probably end up doing that. Yeah. But you came over and were just very honest and real about what we could do with the place. And I'm like, I had no idea how much it was worth and what needed to happen to it. And you came in, you gave me tasks to do, you kept me on task, and it was perfect. It was a perfect pairing. My ex wasn't too fond of going with somebody other than the guy who sold us the house. But you had a way about you to just talk to her and say, listen, I'm not here to pick a side. I'm just here to help sell a house.
Yeah.
And so got past those humps, and where we're at now.
Now, real question, how long from saying, hello, my name is Cassandra, before I dropped an F-bomb?
I think the first visit of the house, like we talked on the phone, but then the first visit of the house and me explaining things that had happened here, like the crime scene that this place was.
Sometimes I think I subconsciously use it as like a vetting system.
Oh, yeah. No,
like, am I going to get along with these people? Are they going to listen? Let's test it out.
Right. People do that all the time. My son uses the F word more than I do. I'm like,
man.
Buddy,
I know
the first
time I met my accountant, I went in and I met her, and within like 5 minutes she dropped an F-bomb, and I was like, you are an accountant with a mouth of a sailor? Like, you are my people.
Right.
And I love her. She is like a crucial piece of my life.
Of course. Well, in the proper usage of a swear word, as long as you use it in the right context, you're not using it at like every 3 words, like my son. My daughter, when she was 4, was taking a shower by herself, and you heard her go, "Oh shit," as she's falling down in the tub. And her grandmother, who's very Catholic, was in the other room like, oh my God. Like, and I looked at her and like, went inside, are you good? She's fine? Okay. Well, at least she used it in the right context. I mean, oh shit, you're falling down, you say it.
My son once was mocking everyone in the household. So, you know, he did his imitation of my husband and it was pretty spot on. And so I was like, do me.
Oh,
do me.
no.
And he would have been like 9 at the time. And he's like, so his imitation was, I'm mom. F word, F word, F word, F word, F word.
Like it's a part of your regular language. Every
and
word.
I started laughing and I was like,
Yeah,
you're probably right.
right.
But surprisingly, we only had one incident of him cussing.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're doing pretty good.
You set a good example.
Good, yeah.
It's like, Mom says that a lot. Maybe we need to curb it.
You know, I just
Back a
explained to
little
him when he was first born, I was like, I gotta like clean up my mouth.
Yeah.
I gotta, you know, I'm a mom now. I gotta be responsible. And it was like 3 weeks in, I realized that wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
So from there on, and my sister, my niece is the same age.
Mm-hmm.
So she also was like, I'm gonna clean up my mouth. No. And then so you have me, my sister, and then my mom, which is obviously where we got it from.
Of course.
And so we just decided when the kids were a few weeks old, like we have to establish that these are adult words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we can't help ourselves, apparently.
Well, and that's the thing
we
is,
don't know how to do it.
the first couple of times I've caught, like, not just the oh shit falling in the tub, but like when they were like middle schoolers and like a curse word, like, you have not earned that word yet.
Yep.
You cannot use that word. I'm an adult. He's like, well, Mom says it or Dad says it. It's like, no, you haven't earned that word.
Yeah.
We've earned those words. We've been in the trenches.
Yeah.
So you can't use that word yet. And then it lasted until about probably 8th grade. And then it went away.
And then they're like, I've seen some shit. I've seen some
right?
shit.
Like, oh my God, I've seen some really shitty things, Dad. It's like, all right, fine, you've earned it.
Oh, that is awesome. So after everything you've gone through, do you think you'll be a Lincolnite forever?
You know, I love this community, and I think I always told myself that no matter what happened in my life, I wouldn't go anywhere until my kids were on their own. Yeah. So college, one's in college, a sophomore in Iowa. The other one's in senior year. I love Lincoln. I want to be successful with the crew that I have and be number one a couple times. And then I've always been the kind of person who's open to go anywhere. Yeah. I've got family in California. I could relocate there. I've gotten offers from Chicago, from DC, a couple different places.
Then you're still dealing with snow.
Right, exactly. It's still cold.
It's probably not a good question to ask when it's
and
negative
earthquakes.
17 out.
I mean, yeah. But no, I've always loved this town. And the people in it, there's always a story. Whether they're from here or they're a transplant from here. It's just fun to hear their stories. And being downtown for a Husker football game, whether we are good or bad, is the best. Yeah. It's truly, people fly in from all over the place. Yeah. Like, I've got a friend who lives in Anchorage that comes back at least once a year for a game. And it's like, oh my God. Just because it's the experience that Lincoln is.
Whenever somebody comes from out of town, and it doesn't matter if they're out of town from a small town in Nebraska or coming from out of state, I like go super nerdy and I'm like, oh, we got to look at all these spots. And
yeah.
This is what I have found. We don't have an ocean. We don't have mountains. We don't have any activities to attract you to come here. So It really has to be the people.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm going to take you to Ivanacone or 402 Creamery. I'm going to take you to Mojava or The Mill or Yaya's or my favorite, Big Sal's. Like, you want a people watch? We're going to Big Sal's.
Oh, yeah. Go to Big Sal's for all the people watching.
Yeah. And I absolutely love taking them around. And Chris and I, we are fortunate enough we get to travel quite a bit.
Yeah.
And when we go places, people are like just last weekend we were in Winter Park and the ski instructor said, well, why do you live there? And I was like, because I'm like, I love this community. I love these people. Like, there's the phrase Nebraska nice is so true and real.
Right.
That you go elsewhere And you're like, why are you so rude? Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is, like,
Go visit Colorado. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, what just happened?
Yeah, and it's not Nebraska polite. It is
No, it's
Nebraska nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know on days like these we talk about, oh, we should live in Florida, we should live in California.
But we all unite together, like yesterday with Temperature Tuesday. I mean, like, how many people were piled up to get into a runza yesterday because they got a free runza with a fry and a drink? I mean, that's what we do. It's negative 17, but we're going to sit in our car. We have to make sure we got at least half a gallon in the tank just to make sure we can sit in the driveway and wait. But it's an experience.
Husker football games, I'm not even a football fan unless Coach Frost is listening.
Which you'd very well, him and Coach Kasandra, they listen to a lot of podcasts.
All right, perfect. But anybody that comes to town, or when I worked on campus and the new students would come in from out of state, I'm like, go to a Husker game.
Yeah.
Like, there's not an experience like tailgating and a Husker game, because when that's all you got, you go hard.
You live it up.
You go hard.
This city goes big time when it comes to Husker football.
So I'll be excited for everything I don't think it's ever going to go back to normal.
Yeah, it'll be
But for
it'll be weird
things
for a
to
couple
adjust.
years.
To comfortably adjust and see how people come back. And
I think people will, and I think as long as we're smart about it, we'll be fine. Yeah. COVID's been really weird. As long as you wear a mask and you keep yourself clean, you're going to be okay. I did find just today, it's so funny that you mentioned that why Lincoln is what it is. There's a book that I found, because we'll have authors on every once in a while with the news talk station. Yeah. And I'll have to go find the exact name of it. But 100 Things to Do in Lincoln Before You Die.
Oh, okay.
And like, it legit is
we should make this a challenge.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
so
I grabbed it. They're free usually. If they're by the coffee maker, it's like, okay, you can just I can have this and I'll just take it. But I grabbed that book today. I'm like, oh my God, I have to figure this out and try other things.
For real, no joke. We should create 2 teams.
Okay.
And we should do this.
Who can finish the book first?
Who can be like a scavenger hunt?
Exactly. You got to try everything. So.
And I want to see what's in there too.
Yeah, I'll
and I wonder how many things I can cross off.
Probably quite a few. I mean, like the first section is food, like, and automatically I saw some of the food places. Like, yep, been there. Yeah. So
I like food.
Yeah, me too. That's how I got to 350 pounds at one point in time.
That's what we got,
Right.
We don't hike. Yeah. We don't swim.
You go to Czech days for all of the Czech food. You go,
I've actually never been to Czech days.
Oh my God, you need to go.
I know. I don't know how I've missed it. Yeah. I've always had groups of friends that go, friends that live there.
Well, you're not far from German Fest too. You go down to Kramer to German Fest down there too.
I actually just went to Kramer this weekend for the first time.
Oh, very cool.
It's a really nice little bar.
It's a cute little place.
It's a really nice little bar. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for being my first guest.
I'm honored.
Yeah. I love talking to you, learning even more. I didn't even realize the amount of charities that you were tied to, and even the connections that where things intertwine, which, again, that's Lincoln. It's, right. It's a 2 degrees to everyone.
Like, how do I know you? Well, maybe this, it's that, and that. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely. So I appreciate it. I really appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will get to do our challenge.
Yeah. 100 Things to Do in Lincoln Before We Die.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
We got time.
Hopefully buy a house is one of those.
Right? No, I thought about that too.
I mean, not for you, just in general.
Oh, yeah.
What do I have to do to put that in the book?
Right. Get that in the book. Buy a house. Yeah, live here. I've done that once. Check.
Awesome. And thank you to everybody listening today. Again, this is Closings and Cocktails with Kasandra Myers, where I get to sit and finally have a celebratory drink with my
body armor and your whatever you next
mine's
today.
A margarita.
Hey, nice. I should put some of that in here. Strawberry banana. I got a little bit left.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening. Tune in shortly, and we'll have another story to share.